Hey guys and dolls, welcome back to Danimal Sound. This is Danny Lee. And in this segment, I just want to go over a sort of a workaround for using organic claps in a breakdown of a song, essentially, in a bridge in this case, to get them to sound a little more commercial, a little more polished, and just have a little more gusto, if you will. This mix was originally sent, as you're about to hear, to the artist, and his main request, I guess you could say, was just to make the claps in this section sound more powerful and crisper while maintaining their sort of organic, original sound, if you will. And what I have here, I'm just going to take you into this section real quick just so you can get some context, and then I'll break down what these claps are and how I arrived at this sound.
Do not turn your servant away. Do not leave me nor forsake. For you are my God, O God of my salvation. I am waiting for you, Lord. I will wait upon you, Lord. I am waiting for you, for you are my strength. I am waiting for you.
Here you have the final product of pretty polished claps, I guess you could say. And what you're seeing here is these are literally single tracks overdubbed of the drummer and the bassist. So two guys clapping into one condenser mic. This here is not a duplicate of this region. This is a separate live overdub. So, do the math. That's 4 sets of hands right there, basically. And then we just wanted to get these to sound bigger. More studio-like, more radio sounding, I guess, is the cliche that I'm supposed to use here. And let me just go turn some plugins off and show you what I originally had for the raw audio. So here it goes. I'll turn them up a little bit.
I am waiting for you, Lord. I will wait upon you, Lord. I am waiting for you are my strength.
That's the natural sound right off the mics. So what we want to do to get this sound, the first thing I have going on both sides, and this down here is just a duplicate, literally, of this first track, hard left and right. So I've got this, just a Focusrite 6-band EQ with roughly almost not quite 200, upper 180s, boosted around 6 dB or so. I arrived at that decision because I originally had just a lot of treble cranked on this, like a high shelf essentially. It had no body whatsoever, so I decided after the fact that when my drums were coming together that I wanted this to have more of a snare drum kind of body to it. So that's when that lower mid decision came about. So if we just put that into context.
Wait upon you, Lord. I am waiting for you are my strength.
So that's how that sounds with just the Focusrite on there. And then with something that's so dynamic, incredibly dynamic, as something as a hand clap. I mean, they're consistent, but there's no sustain to it, I guess you could say, after these transients. So I'm trying to make something that's got a sustain to it that I can run into my other processors. And that's where my limiter comes in, which is the L1. You can see right here, I've got these settings to just kind of hold on to it a little longer.
For you, Lord.
To not fool you any further, I do have these hand claps bust to my drum group as well down here. So you are hearing an additional Pultec EQ on all of this. Just so you're aware of that, you'll see the meter jumping down there. The limiter in place, you can see it's got a little more beef to it. It's holding a little longer, so the body's being built essentially. And then I wanted to feed that into yet another compressor, so we're going along with the trusty CLA 76 Blackie model here. As you can see, when you've got the release all the way up like that, the fastest possible, it gives you a bit more amplification. And in this case, we've got the all buttons in, which adds a nice, I want to say, distortion to it. It's sort of typical of this compressor type. Very popular for an effect, if you will. As you can see over here, the levels are jumping pretty well after I've added the limiter and the CLA 76. So here you've got the fast attack, slowish release, all buttons in, which is adding some sort of like a distortion circuitry type of thing. And then next on the list, we have this plugin, which is really cool. Sort of, I don't want to call it a one-trick pony, but for what it is, it's pretty awesome as far as just adding some bite and some edge to things. And I'd forgotten I'd had this, to be honest with you, so I just went through my plugin folder to see what I had that I could throw on here just to see what I could do. And lo and behold, I figured I'd give this guy a shot. So this is the same instance soloed with this guy coming in. And as you can see, it's sort of limiting, it's adding distortion as well, because while this is soloed, you can actually hear the click and the Q mixes running into the headphone bleed of the drummer and bassist as they're actually recording this. And if I put this back into context thus far, you can hear how it's building up against the backing track. The guitars and the bass and such.
For you, Lord, I will wait upon you.
And if I take this away,
I am waiting for you are my strength.
it loses quite a bit of snap already, just taking this head crusher plug-in off.
For you, Lord,
So I'll put this guy back on.
wait upon you, Lord.
So we're inducing distortion, we're doing some colorful things here to sort of generate, it's like a harmonic synthesis, as Andrew Sheps once put it, pertaining to another plugin. But in this case, it's adding some nice distortion, some gain, some grit, sort of like having a distortion pedal on a guitar in this case, but you're just running something that's percussive through it. And then finally, dare I say the most important aspect of this chain is the Waves doubler plugin, where I'm just using these settings here. I've got, what I typically do here is this dot here that I'm clicking on. That's the direct sound, which is pan dead center. For something that's going to be ultimately stereo, if not even pseudo stereo, I tend to like the direct to be turned off, because I don't want to hear the original sound that I'm affecting, especially not in this case, because this is seriously an effect. It's not like I'm putting this on as an aux and blending it back into original signal. So as you can see along here, I've just kind of got these the synthesized doubling voices, I should say, kind of haphazardly panned along the side just to kind of give it some variation. A little bit of EQ going on over here, and some other settings that I kind of toyed with. So once that's turned back on, I'll give you a little A-B here. So this is the whole chain thus far without the doubler on, and this is in context.
Waiting for you, Lord. I will wait upon you, Lord. I am waiting for you are my strength. I am waiting.
Okay, so that's with the doubler off, I should say, with the doubler bypassed. And then we turn the doubler back on.
Waiting for you, Lord. I will wait.
And as you can see, since that center image was taken away that was originally here, it does duck the overall level of the clap track quite a bit, but it's also sort of putting it into place, if you will, and kind of blending it back into the track in a musical sense, and it's kind of taking on the context of the mix more so. So with that said, here we are just back a few bars, and I'm going to take you into the transition once again so you can hear the difference.
I am waiting for you, Lord. I will wait upon you, Lord. I am waiting for you are my strength. I am waiting for you, Lord. I will wait upon you, Lord. I am waiting for you are my strength. Oh, I am waiting.
So as you can see, I know it looks a bit extensive as far as what I did, but in the words of the famous and illustrious Chris Lord-Alge, do whatever you have to do to get it there. I started with very minimal raw hand claps, as you noticed, 4 hands worth of data essentially in 2 tracks, and I've built it up into, for lack of a better term, what I would consider a quote-unquote like Def Leppard style clap track. Sounds like, 20 people clapping in a room. So, and as you can see, what you can do with limiting, compression, distortion, EQ, all that stuff kind of running in tandem can definitely alter the landscape and make it fit into the track, give it more power, more muscle. And I realize this is only just like an auxiliary percussion track with hand claps, but it can make all the difference, especially in a song like this where, your drums completely fall out for an entire section. Something's got to be there. So fortunately, the artist was happy with this, and we were able to print it and run with that. I hope this helps give a little insight as to how to take something like this that's very minimal and build it up into something pretty cool and usable. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write me here on YouTube at my link below. And please visit my website, dannylee.co, DANNYLEE.co. Feel free to email me any suggestions or requests, any criticisms, yada yada. Or if you just want to chat on my page, that's welcome too. Thanks for watching and happy mixing. Cheers.